Lamar he was really happy, really loving. He was really energetic.
So he's the youngest baby, and he was born 1 hour and 9 minutes after his sister. He made quite an entrance into the world. Growing up, he was very dependent, very clingy. He cried a lot. He got hurt by what people said. As he grew up, went through adolescence, not very careful. So not very careful with his belongings, not very careful with anything. So I was always policing him, always.
He was like the twin that didn't say much, so I would speak for him. I remember them telling me that we got separated in class because I used to speak for him too much, or I'd answer his questions. Yeah, so if someone asked him if he wanted food, I'd answer, say, yeah, Lamar wants food. So he was really dependent on me, and like we grew up like that. Like I was just a bit more of the responsible one, I guess. And he was happy-go-lucky, but he was the younger twin, so I think that's all it was. At 16, we went to Coulson College, and the first year we were together, obviously, and then I did my second year and left. He stayed for an extra year because he was doing a BTEC in public services. That year that he got to be himself without me, he got like insanely cool. So I was just like, what has happened? I guess the space maybe allowed him to be himself, but he just got cool. He started dressing really cool. He got all the girls. Like everyone wanted to know Lamar, and I was like, what is going on? What did I miss?
He was working at St Thomas's. He'd been there a year before. He then made a decision that he wanted to apply for this role, and he started to prepare for it. And then he started to do things that he no longer asked me to do for him. He loved carnival. That was his favourite time of the year. He loved carnival. And he and his friends, which was 5 of them, decided that they're going to spend the weekend in Notting Hill Gate. So they're going to book a hotel. So I thought, here we go. I came home from work and he had booked the hotel. He'd paid for it. He showed me the confirmation. He also applied for the job, got shortlisted and got the job. And I remember that I said to him, you've really grown up, haven't you? You're really turning independent. He was on his journey to find him and to find himself in the professional field as to where he's going to sit or if he's going to go off and do something on his own. But I think he was at that crossroads where he wasn't really sure, but he was on his way.
One of his friends in college had a birthday party, and he went to the birthday party in East London.
That night I worked until 7 p.m. and I left work and I got to my underground station about 8:15, and I got home about 9. And when I got home, he was in bed, asleep. Now, I didn't go into his room because I thought, what's he doing here? He's meant to have been going to a party, but I just didn't go in his room. And strangely enough, I fell asleep wherever I was sitting.
I was in pain all evening. I couldn't sleep that night properly, and I went to bed really late because I couldn't sleep. So I was just up on my laptop, just listening to music, kind of just hanging out by myself. And then when I finally did get to sleep, I remember waking up to the text message.
The next thing, I was woken up by Lashawna telling me that something's happened to Lamar and her and her dad have to go to East London. I didn't know what to do because they were dressed when they woke me up. And I said to his dad, what should I do? And he said, just stay here. Everything happened so quickly. I remember just being in the room, and then all of a sudden, I heard sirens. And I was like, why is those sirens so loud? And then I heard a knock at my door, and I opened the bedroom door, and there was all these lighting all over the house. And I went to the front door, and there was a woman officer with my porch door open, and she said, "Mrs. Stewart." And I said, "Yeah." And she said, "I have an urgent request to take you to the Royal London Hospital now, in a blue light." I said, "I can't." And she said, "You need to get something now and come with me now. Just grab your bag." So I did. And I got into the car. And all the way there, I knew he was going to die. All I was asking is, God, just hold on, let him wait for me.
When we was in the hospital, when we had just been told that he passed away, I remember feeling like the walls were caving in. Like, I remember standing at the wall, and like it felt like the corridor was getting thinner and thinner and thinner. I didn't get much support afterwards. I did talking therapies through my GP, but that's about it. And it was good for the moment. I don't think it's good long term. Like, there's nothing long term that they offer you. So from what I know, there was no support offered to any of my other like immediate family members. There wasn't any support offered to Lamar's best friends. There wasn't any support offered to our mutual friends. There's no support. Sometimes I feel like nobody cares about everybody else. It's just because we're immediate family doesn't mean we're the only people affected by a loss of someone.
You can't make sense of murder. You can't. But if you've got nothing and you're constantly going over it, constantly, especially for Nathaniel, who would have, what could I have done? It should have been me. For the friends that weren't there, for the shopkeeper, for my neighbour who saw him every day, for my other neighbour that he was really good friends with the children there. For them, they just left. And before, I was in this alien club by myself. And now I have about 5 or 6 friends that have lost their sons in the same violent way. I will never get over my son. Never. Never. It's the hardest thing that's ever happened to me in my life. And I don't think anything's harder. But I can't just sit there and make it consume me. He wouldn't want me to. If this had happened to Lamar's friend and he was alive, he would want change. He wouldn't want to see a world of sadness, especially the people that he knows. He'd want to rescue them. He'd want to do something. He was like that. I have to see change because it's affecting me and it's affecting people around me that I love and people I don't know.
People like Lamar put on earth to make a change, but they're also taken from us, because if they're not taken from us prematurely, we won't know that we need the change.
For me, I would like to see all bereavement services open up to delivering services for the non-connected. I call them the forgotten grievers. Okay, the forgotten ones. I don't know what it'll look like, but what it does need to look like is it needs the red tape and the biasness need to be removed. It needs to be accessed when there shouldn't be time frames to access it. You should be able to access it. You should be able to go to your GP if you don't know where else to go and say to your GP, I am feeling this way. My friend died. I need to talk to somebody. There needs to be something within the services that we already have that opens up the doors for these people to be able to access and share how they're feeling.
Lamar was just a nice person. Like, he really cared about people being happy. Like, he was the happiest person that we've known. And if people getting support that they deserve and need is what's going to make them feel good and feel happy, I'm pretty sure he'd want them to get that support.